Hello, now we are in the second chapter and third part of the second chapter, which is the size attribute. And today we are going to talk about the different kinds of size parameters you can apply on different elements available to you in HTML. Before I begin with size, I need to warn you about something. Size attribute is usually handled using CSS code. Okay, the cascade style sheet code, we're going to talk more about it. I'm going to introduce it in this course, but I'm going to cover in detail in the next HTML2 course. So the size attribute is usually handled using the CSS code. In HTML, code is available but is less flexible than when using CSS. Okay, just remember that. These are the two things that I want to highlight here. I want you to remember this. Okay, so even though you're doing it with me right now, but these two are the main things that you need to keep in mind. CSS size is usually defined by the CSS code. Okay, the purpose of the HTML size attribute is to specify the width in pixels. Okay, it defines the width, which could be either in pixels or characters. Okay, and the size attribute is usually defined for font, image. Okay, the font or the image. These are the elements on which you apply this attribute, which means you try to change the size of the font, try to change the size of the image of your website. Okay, so we're going to study that with examples. I'm just introducing you the concept right now, and the syntax is as follows. It's like element name size equals value, and then size equals value, and then you close the tag. Usually that's how it is. Tag open, tag close, and then you write something here, XYZ. This is the name. This is what is going to be changed. Okay, and then you close the tag. Simple as that. This is the basic syntax for this attribute. Okay, let me make this very clear for you. All right, so what else do we have here? Okay, we have size attribute is also used to define the font size, and there are 4 ways to define the font size. The first one is the absolute size. Okay, and the second one is the relative size of the font. Remember, we have not covered font and paragraph and headings yet, but I'm just trying to tell you that the code for the attribute size applied on the font right now. Fixed size, and then you have percentage. And this is for the font. This is applied to font. Okay, then we have another element called image element, where the size is applied. Okay, and before I write the syntax here, I will explain a little bit about organizing your folder. Since I'm in the second chapter, attributes, so what I did was I created an attribute folder, and I created these folders here, which I've been talking about, the subtopics within the attribute, and this is your size topic in the attribute chapter. And within this, I created an image file, which is called emimage.png. And you have the smile. Remember the first page that you created, in which you just showed your heading and which you just showed your first paragraph, something like this. My first heading, my first paragraph. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an image underneath the first heading. Okay, watch me how we do this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open my first page notepad, and beneath the H1, the heading, my first heading, I'm going to add the code. Okay, and the syntax of this okay, image and size, embedding image and size goes something like this: image source equals to, notice how it is easy to understand. It's in English language, it's plain English, and it's a shortened form of image and source, so you can easily understand what you're talking about. Okay, image source is equal to name of this file here, image.png. okay, just this is the png file. That's how we know it's an png file. And the size, notice the size of the file is 565 by 290. okay, that's pixels. And I am going to change the size of this image, okay, in my code just like this. So image source is equal to you have to write the name of the file exactly as you have saved it, image.png. okay, to avoid any kind of errors that you may have when running the file. Alt is equal to, now alt is called alternate text, okay, and we're going to talk more about that later. Just type alt is equal to event management style. This is where you define the size. Style is equal to, anything within the equal sign is always in the inverted commas, width double colon 304 pixels px. You have to define that, okay, and semicolon height. Now you're defining the dimensions or the size of the image, okay, which image? The image.png, and height is equal to 228 pixels. Semicolon, inverted commas closed, and the tag closed. Okay, notice there is no closing tag like backslash image source. No, there's nothing like that. It's just one whole line of code with the image source as the header. Okay, image source is equal to image.png. You're defining the image source. This is where the image is coming from. Alt is equal to event management style is equal to all of this size. Okay, one thing to note here is that the image has to be within the same folder where these both files are located. Okay, because you won't be able to access the image like this directly if you have code that looks something like this. You won't be able to do it. Why? Because there is no backslash here and there is no complete address of the source here. Okay, so if you say directly the right name of the file, it means that the file is located within the same folder. Okay, and if you want to find a source of the image which is not located within this folder, for example any image that is located here, you have to write the complete address. Okay, HTML folder, then you have to talk about the attributes folder, then the size folder, and within the size folder you have to say that this is where the image is located. Okay, so just remember, keep your image within the same folder as your file, as the HTML and the text file. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, and let's try to refresh the page. There you go. Okay, so the image is right here and the size is whatever we defined here. Okay, the 304 pixels wide and 228 pixels high. Okay, so what if I try to stretch the image a little bit, because as you can see it looks a bit squished. So if I stretch the image and make the size 350 pixels, you should be able to see that the image is a little bit broader. Let's try to save this. And let's try to refresh the page here. All right, did you see the difference? This is a little bit broader than before. And if you want to make more changes, you can make more changes in this page. Just go back to your code and let's change the heading H1 to green event managers. Okay, and also the page title, I'm just trying to make this more meaningful for you. Green events. Okay, green event managers. Then that would show up at the as the page title right here. Okay, just want to show this to you. It would show up here, and we've changed it to heading. And my first paragraph, before the first paragraph, I want to add another heading called H3. Okay, the size of the heading is H3, and you can write more about us. Okay, and okay, this is the heading. So yes, let me just close the tag H3. Okay, tag closed, and instead of saying my first paragraph, you could say lines and lines of text here. The text goes here. Okay, and I'm going to save this, and I'm going to refresh the page. And if I refresh the page like this, okay, notice the green event managers, the title changed, the heading H1 changed, this is H3, more about us, and the text goes here. Okay, and up next I'm going to show you how to manipulate with this text here so that you can change the size. Okay, and then I wanted to talk about the size of the font. Let me quickly help you do that. Of explaining the size attribute applied to the font, I'm going to do this briefly, and the idea was to explain to you that font size can be changed dramatically using HTML code. Okay, without using CSS you can do that easily. So we have absolute size, relative size, fixed size, and percentage. Okay, and I have already done the code for you here, and let me try to explain it to you. We have this page going on here with the image, and we had a title about us, and if you want to write the content using different font sizes, this is how you do it. Paragraph, tag open, style is equal to font size with a hyphen, double colon, XX hyphen small, and colon, semicolon again, and inverted commas closed, and close the tag. This goes in the paragraph tag. Any tag, it can go in the heading tag or paragraph tag. Okay, the attribute for size for font can go in the heading or the paragraph tag, and then this is where this code will be applied on. Absolute size XS small. Okay, then we have another size. Just like we have sizes in clothes, we have sizes in the font. XX small, X small, small, medium, large, X large, XX large, and that is your absolute size. Absolute size simply means it is calculated by the browser, so that no matter what is the size of the neighboring text, the size of this particular text will never change. You have explicitly applied the size of this particular text in the entire paragraph, this kind of size here. So the size of this text is going to be explicitly defined by your size attribute. Okay, so we try to run this. Okay, this is the absolute size. Then we have relative size. If you look at the relative size, allows you to set font size relative to the parent element. This means that the different text with the same value could actually appear in many sizes. Okay, many different sizes, even on the same page. It all depends on the text's parent element. There are two possible values, smaller and larger. So we have relative size. Style is equal to font size smaller. Okay, and then style is equal to font size larger. Okay, and you are comparing. Okay, font size specified using relative values. Relative means comparing, relationship between two values. So if you have some text here and then all of a sudden you try to apply this here, that means as compared to the neighboring text, make this particular text smaller. And then for larger, as compared to the neighboring text, make this particular text larger. That's what it means, relative size. Okay, you can pause this video and copy this code easily. Okay, but this is basically what it means. And remember, the syntax and the punctuation is extremely important. Your code will not run if you do not have the right syntax. Okay, And we have percentage size, which is nothing but defining the percentage in pixels. Okay, the percentage size specify an absolute font size relative to the parent element's font size. Okay, and again, this is also relative, but it is defined in percentage. Like we could say that, you know, this computer is 50% bigger than this one. So just comparing two sizes in percentage, that's what it means. Percentage size is same as relative size, except that you define percentages. Font size, instead of saying smaller or larger, you say 90%. Okay, and then font size 150, this is larger font size specified using percentage values. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, and I'm going to try to run it on my browser, and this is what it looks like. Okay, this is the absolute size heading here, XX small, X small, small, medium, and large, and then absolute size X large and XX large. Okay, can you appreciate how many sizes we have available to us? Okay, let's scroll further down. We did the relative size, which was font size specified using relative values. This is smaller. Okay, smaller to this one. Okay, and font size specified using relative values, larger than this one, because this is the neighboring. This code was directly after this text. Okay, and then percentage size is the same thing. Smaller font size specified using percentage values, it's 90%. Larger font size values 150% as compared to this text here. Okay, and there was one more thing that I'm going to miss out deliberately, and that is the length and height of a font. Okay, we have a whole array of attributes here, values here, em, ex, px. I'm going to cover that, and then we have inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, because I'm going to cover that in the font chapter. For now, we're going to wrap the size attribute, and what did we cover here? We changed the size, we applied the size attribute on images, and we apply the size attribute on font. Okay, the code is right here, and just pause your video and you can copy this easily and try to practice this on your own. And the last thing that I'm going to share with you is the next. Up next is the alt attribute. Okay, this is going to be short and very interesting. Hang in there. See you soon.